The numbers are horrifying. Since the start of the pandemic, over 1.2 million Americans have died from COVID-19, and the majority were seniors. But for those who survived, the battle isn't over. A 2023 report from the CDC revealed that millions of seniors are still suffering long-term neurological damage from COVID. But what's truly terrifying? A 2022 study from Washington University found that seniors who had COVID were 70% more likely to develop dementia within a year. Could COVID be silently destroying the brains of millions of seniors? You need to know these 12 urgent facts right now, because waiting until symptoms appear may be too late. Stick around until the end, where I'll explain exactly what to do if you've noticed any of these horrifying symptoms. Are you ready? Fact number 12. Post-COVID smell loss may signal dementia. Many seniors have reported that their sense of smell never fully returned after COVID, or that familiar scents now smell strange or rotten. But here's what most people don't realize. Smell loss is one of the earliest predictors of dementia. A 2023 study in Neurology followed over 2,000 seniors and found that those with lingering smell loss were 50% more likely to develop cognitive decline. Why? Because the part of the brain responsible for smell is also the first area hit by Alzheimer's. Scientists now warn that if your sense of smell hasn't returned or has changed drastically after COVID, your brain may already be experiencing silent damage. Fact number 11. Memory loss after COVID isn't just temporary. A 2023 study in JAMA Neurology analyzed over 150,000 post-COVID patients and found that 30% still had memory issues more than a year later. That's not brain fog, that's permanent damage. Doctors now warn that these lingering cognitive issues may be the first step toward long-term neurological decline, making early intervention critical. Researchers believe that the virus triggers chronic inflammation inside the brain, killing neurons long after the infection is gone. What's worse, this damage mirrors early-stage Alzheimer's, making it harder for seniors to recognize the warning signs. If you've noticed forgetting words, struggling with daily tasks, or feeling mentally slower since having COVID, this isn't something to ignore. Fact number 10. COVID increases fall and mobility risks in seniors. A 2023 study in the Journal of Gerontology found that COVID-related brain inflammation doesn't just affect memory, it also disrupts balance and coordination. This means seniors who had COVID, especially those who experienced dizziness or brain fog, are at a much higher risk of dangerous falls. Falls are already the leading cause of injury-related death among seniors, so this added risk makes early intervention even more critical. If you've noticed increased clumsiness, trouble keeping balance, or feeling unsteady on your feet after COVID, this could be a neurological issue, not just aging. Fact number 9. COVID can trigger sudden personality changes. A 2023 study in the Lancet Neurology found that COVID survivors had significantly higher rates of mood disorders, personality shifts, and even outbursts of anger. Researchers discovered that the virus attacks the frontal lobe, the brain region responsible for emotions, decision-making, and impulse control. For some seniors, this can mimic early dementia symptoms, increased frustration, difficulty managing emotions, or sudden withdrawal from social activities. If you've noticed these changes in yourself or a loved one after COVID, it could be a serious neurological warning sign. Fact number 8. COVID can cause permanent hearing damage. A 2023 study in JAMA Otolaryngology found that COVID survivors were significantly more likely to develop hearing loss, persistent tinnitus, ringing in the ears, and inner ear damage. Doctors believe the virus attacks the auditory nerve and restricts blood flow to the inner ear, leading to permanent hearing damage, even in people who had mild infections. Why does this matter? Because hearing loss is directly linked to faster cognitive decline. Studies show that seniors with hearing impairment are 5 times more likely to develop dementia because the brain has to work harder to process sounds. Fact number 7. COVID accelerates brain aging by 10 years. A shocking 2022 study in Nature Neuroscience revealed that people who had COVID performed much worse on cognitive tests than those who didn't, even 2 years after infection. Another major Oxford University study, 2022, found that even mild COVID causes brain shrinkage, equal a decade of aging. Brain scans confirmed that the virus literally shrinks key memory centers. Researchers also found that this damage isn't reversible, meaning once neurons are lost, they don't regenerate. Even if you feel fine now, COVID may have silently aged your brain. Fact number 6, COVID survivors face unexpected vision issues. A 2023 study in ophthalmology science found that COVID survivors had a 30% higher risk of developing vision problems. Doctors believe this happens because COVID causes microclots and inflammation in the tiny blood vessels of the eyes, leading to long-term damage. Many studies show that seniors with vision impairment were twice as likely to develop dementia. As eyesight worsens, the brain works harder to compensate, accelerating aging and memory loss. If you've noticed worsening eyesight, new floaters, or unusual light sensitivity since COVID, it could be a warning sign that the virus may be affecting the brain's visual processing center. Fact number 5, COVID increases the risk of brain bleeds. A 2023 study in Stroke Journal found that COVID survivors had a 60% higher risk of brain bleeds compared to those who never had the virus. Researchers also discovered tiny clots forming in the blood vessels of COVID patients' brains, cutting off oxygen to critical areas. Over time, these mini-strokes stack up, potentially leading to epilepsy and unexplained seizures. Even months after infection, blood vessels in the brain remain inflamed, making them more fragile and prone to rupturing. This could explain why some seniors experience sudden dizziness, headaches, or even minor speech difficulties after COVID. In more severe cases, it can lead to a hemorrhagic stroke, where a blood vessel bursts in the brain, causing permanent cognitive impairment or death. Fact number 4, COVID can trigger Parkinson's-like symptoms. A shocking 2022 study in the Lancet Neurology found that COVID infections can cause nerve damage, similar to what's seen in Parkinson's disease. Researchers discovered that the virus targets dopamine-producing cells in the brain, the same ones affected in Parkinson's patients. This explains why some seniors develop hand tremors, muscle stiffness, or even balance issues after COVID. If you've noticed new movement problems or a change in coordination, this could be a warning sign of deeper neurological damage. Fact number 3, hospitalized COVID seniors face triple Alzheimer's risk. A 2023 study in the Journal of Alzheimer's Disease followed senior COVID patients for 2 years and found something alarming. Those who were hospitalized with COVID had a 3 times higher risk of developing Alzheimer's within 24 months. Why is that? Because severe COVID triggers a toxic protein buildup in the brain, the same type of plaque seen in Alzheimer's. Even if you had a moderate case, the inflammatory damage can still linger, putting you on the same trajectory. Fact number 2, COVID survivors have a 40% higher risk of depression. A major 2023 study in the Lancet Psychiatry found that COVID survivors are 40% more likely to develop severe depression and anxiety, even if they had no prior history. But here's the part many overlook. Chronic depression speeds up dementia risk by 80%. This happens because depression physically shrinks the hippocampus, the brain's memory center. If you've noticed more frequent sadness, anxiety, or trouble feeling motivated after COVID, don't ignore it. Your mental health is directly connected to your brain's long-term function. Fact number 1, a second COVID infection increases brain damage risk by 400%. A 2023 study in Nature Medicine found that people who caught COVID a second time had a 4 times higher risk of memory loss, stroke, and dementia. But here's what most don't realize. Each reinfection adds more damage, compounding the risk. Even if the second or third infection feels mild, hidden inflammation continues attacking brain cells, weakening blood vessels, and accelerating toxic plaque buildup linked to Alzheimer's. Doctors now warn that repeated exposure to COVID could silently push the brain toward irreversible decline. If you've noticed any of these after COVID, don't ignore it. It could be early warning signs of long-term neurological damage. Doctors now recommend early intervention to slow down or even reverse some of these effects. Here's what you can do. 1. Get evaluated. A neurologist can check for early cognitive decline, sensory nerve damage, or circulation issues affecting the brain and senses. 2. Protect your brain health. Anti-inflammatory foods, brain exercises, and proper sleep help fight post-COVID neurological decline. 3. Manage blood flow. Poor circulation worsens brain and nerve function. Supplements like omega-3s, vitamin B12, and magnesium support blood flow and nerve health. 4. Strengthen your sensory functions. Olfactory training, smell exercises, hearing checkups, and vision therapy can help counteract damage. 5. Prevent reinfection. Each new COVID infection increases brain damage risk, so reducing exposure is crucial. These symptoms aren't just part of aging, they could be a sign of something much bigger. The earlier you take action, the better your chances of protecting your brain and sensory health.
And there you have it. What are your thoughts? Next, dive into this video for more essential tips to transform your health and help you thrive. You're going to love it. Thanks for watching Healthy End, and we'll see you there.